All right, bro. Well, here we are. Conversations with DJ, episode number X. Who knows? And we got Matt McNasty in the house.
Let's do it.
Welcome, bro.
Appreciate it.
Dude, please introduce yourself. Pickleball to the coach of the stars or
Something
something
like
like
that. Yeah,
that.
Pickleball Coach to the Stars. I host a lot of events, corporate events, branded events. I commentate now for
Mm-hmm.
PPA Tour. Have a show going on with Tennis Channel that we're about to launch and film more of, like a celebrity pickleball interview show. Yeah, a lot of stuff in the pickleball world.
Nice, bro. And how did you get started into pickleball? I know you were a tennis player, but how
Yeah,
did you take the
the
step to the dark side?
the origin story.
Yeah.
I was coaching tennis on tour for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, college tennis coach first, then pro tennis coach for Shelby Rogers right before the pandemic. I was at Indian Wells. Pandemic hit. Went back to Pennsylvania. Started doing TikToks for like a month. Was bored out of my mind.
Were you doing like dancing TikToks?
I was. There was a few. I was doing some good like Adam Sandler impersonation ones. Some of them are really bad. Like, I'll send you a few. There were. I mean, I thought they were funny, but some of my friends thought I was going out of my mind. But finally got invited to play pickleball with some people in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fell in love right away. I got beat by like a 60-year-old guy first day, and I was like, I got to get better at this. Started playing pretty decently. Saw it on Instagram a ton, and then I got introduced to Ryan Sherry
Mm-hmm.
through. Do you know Tony Ginoni
I don't, but it sounds familiar.
down in Orlando?
Sounds
He used
familiar.
to do clinics with Simone Chargim and Ben Johns.
That sounds super familiar.
So he
yeah.
introduced me to Ryan. I went down, and Ryan's like, "Oh, you got to come down to Florida. You got to train with me for a week before we play that first PPA event that was in Newport." So that was like my first event ever. Was that like August 2020 in Newport Beach?
Dude, I think that's the one where I beat Ben and Matt, and I got
Probably.
second. Yeah, that's crazy.
So August 2020, first event. That was kind of everyone coming back. But yeah, so I went down to Florida, met Sherry. After like 2 days of training with Sherry, at that point he was still going out a ton and like his benders, and I was like, dude, this isn't really good training. So Tony was like, you should come to Orlando with Ben and Simone and like go to their clinic. So I
Mhm.
paid $600. Ben and Simone drove me from Fort Myers to Orlando, and then I stayed with them for the weekend and Tony, and I took like their clinic.
No way.
Yeah, so but I was like the best person at the clinic, so I was getting kind of like one-on-one individual training from Ben. And he's
Simone.
like, yeah. He's like, so, and at night we were watching videos of like matches that they were in, like with Deckel and all these
Mhm.
other people at the time. So like that first kind of 3 months into pickle, I was already like immersed with kind of the goats of the sport,
Yeah.
which was kind of cool. And even like to learn from Ben and kind of the technique and how he moved, and like he's like, when a forehand goes out wide, and cock the wrist this way, and then it's kind of more with the shoulder. So I felt like early on I had a little bit of a leg up in terms of like 3 months in to learn the proper technique.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and when you talk about Ben, right, the goat, and
Yeah.
I mentioned that before too, like with Augie, I was like, when Ben talks, you kind of just sit down and then you're like, listen, right,
Correct.
when it's about pickleball. But dude, that goes a long way because you could think like, fuck, $600 is really expensive for a clinic, but
Right.
then you go and get a one-on-one for like 3 hours with Ben. It's like it's not that bad.
It's not bad at all. And like, you developed a relationship with him and Simone. And, when I was in Newport, it was funny that Newport, that first event, I'd never played singles before. So I was really only interested in playing doubles. I didn't even really know there was pickleball singles. I signed up for singles in Newport, never really practiced it. And I lost to some like pretty, I mean, I don't want to say horrible guy, but he wasn't great. But then Ben was on the side just like laughing at me the whole time because he saw I was so frustrated. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was I think my one of two events in singles ever.
How did the second one go?
Second one, I think I won a match at each event or something. One of my last matches was against Rafa Hewitt. In only the second event, I lost in 3. Yeah, that was the little finger swing. I don't even know if he was doing it back then, but it was in Atlanta. I lost in 3. I think I was up in the third and lost. A couple tight calls. You know how Rafa does it in singles, but no, it was yeah. Who knows? Singles wasn't my thing.
I don't think dude, singles is not anybody's thing. I think most people play it because they kind of have to, or maybe they're
Right.
like better at it in the beginning than
Right.
doubles. Then they go into singles, they do some winning, and then as soon as they get good at doubles, they end up quitting singles.
Correct. Which I
Um,
think is going to be the case for some of these top guys here soon. I don't want to say Ben yet because he's still really the best, even though Stacksrud is clearly, the standard at the moment. But yeah, I always my tennis game was better in doubles. I kind of feel like I see the court better in doubles and understand the game of pickleball more, and it's more interesting. Like, sure, I love to get a workout on singles, but doubles is like the more fun, strategic, community-based game.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, you play tennis, and when it comes to tennis itself, like singles is pretty strategic, even though there's a lot of
Yes.
power and spin
Yes.
involved. But it doesn't feel like to me in pickleball singles it translates as much. What are your
Correct.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you watch guys like Stacksrud, and then the game somehow slows down, and it makes no sense because it's the same, serve and return as you're seeing other people play. Yet he somehow can control the court and the point from the middle of the court, like his backhand kind of like shovel pass, his ability to take space away as he's moving forward and closing off angles. He seems to know based on where he's serving, where that return's coming, so that first move is quick and he's already in the right spot. Whereas, like, I guess let's compare it to someone like a Tyson that looks like he's moving all over the court at 1,000,000 miles an hour and has to like grind his ass off to get points. That's not the same when you look at a Stacksrud, even someone like Jaume, a little bit more now controlling from the center, even though there's a ton of movement. Connor Garnett looks like a man on fire out there too.
Yeah, he does.
But like Stacksrud, I think that's his style of play. I think it copied what Ben was doing, but then took it to another level because he has like a pretty effortless two-handed backhand from tennis, which Ben does not have.
It is true. The one thing about singles nowadays, in my opinion, and this is not a dig to Ben or anything, but I do think Federico mimicked Ben's game.
For sure.
I think the biggest difference between those two in singles right now, it's the fitness level.
Interesting.
Right? Like to me, like Federico, fitness-wise, I think he's just a better athlete in that sense than Ben is.
Better athlete in terms of fitness level or just a better athlete? Because
Fitness level.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think he's quicker. I don't think he gets as tired.
Right.
Obviously, a two-handed backhand goes a long way.
I just think his two-handers so much better.
It is. It really is.
I think that's the the difference. Because I think if I look at them athletically, like I think Ben is so underrated as an athlete. Like how he moves on the court, how quick he is, the footwork, like his legs are massive. Like I think he's a very good athlete, like an underrated athlete.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I just think like when I've seen these,
But fitness-wise, yes, he's not like Fed's not getting tired. I think Fed's putting in more work off the court, stamina-wise, like on a treadmill, on a track.
right, and that's
He's
kind of
leaner.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting to. Like when you start getting to if you second round, because Ben used to just run through people, right?
Correct.
But now your second round is 11-9, 10-12, 11-5. That's taxing you, especially if you're
100%.
if you're in like Kansas at 114 degrees. But then when you get to the quarterfinals, like Federico looks like he's playing first round,
Correct.
and I don't think Ben does. But also at the end of the day, like I've also seen these points of like Jaume versus Federico in Mesa,
Yeah.
or Jaume versus Connor. Sorry, Federico versus Connor in LA.
Right.
Those points are nuts, and so. In my opinion, as good as Ben is, I don't see him doing that, or I haven't seen him do those crazy points.
I think it looks like from the commentator booth that the desire to hang in those points is not there. Like I don't think he wants to have that singles grind and be out there. I don't know if it's he can't do it or that he doesn't have the fitness level for it. I don't want to say either of those two things. I think he just doesn't want to do it. I think once it gets hard in singles right now, he's like, whatever.
How long do you think until he quits singles?
I don't want to be the guy to say anything because then he'll just be like, you know what, screw you, McNasty. I'll stay out here 5 more years and destroy everybody.
Maybe that's what he needs.
Yeah. No, I mean, what is he, like 25?
Yeah,
max?
he's like a year older than me, so
Okay.
probably 25.
Are you 24?
I just turned 24 in April, yeah.
God, I'm old.
Do
See,
you-
that's why I stopped playing. I mean, you guys are all young.
I know, but you know me for so long, too.
Dude, I didn't realize you're only 24. You're young.
You probably met me when I was like 19 or 18 or something.
20.
20?
Yeah, because I moved here like 3.5, 4 years ago.
Did I have a beard?
Not as big as that.
Yeah,
And you were a little skinnier.
I was skinnier.
Are you trying to get beefed up or what's going on?
Dude, I was. I did.
Yes.
So like basically like my goal was to kind of hit the 220 mark.
Okay.
And it was more of a personal goal. It had
Right.
nothing to do with like pickleball.
Got it.
And I felt like it wasn't making me, because I'm not a fast guy naturally, right?
Right.
Like I'm just more of a heavy, strong guy. And so I was like, fuck, maybe I'll just go and lift and see how it
Right.
goes and whatever. And I ended up getting to like 220 and 220, like waking up 220,
Right.
you know? But then what I started happening is I was just getting, I wasn't slower or anything, but I was just getting like really tired,
Of course. Well, you're
you
carrying
know?
around way more weight.
Yeah, exactly. But not only on the pickleball court, but also like just day to day stuff. I'd
Got
be
it.
like, I gotta eat so much more, and I can't eat this much.
Right.
Like it's like impossible. And it got to the point where I just felt like it was not sustainable.
Got it.
Especially when you like practice. You wake up, you go to the gym, then you go practice. Like you gotta eat so much food to like even sustain, right?
For sure.
And I'm actually like 207 right
Okay.
now, so I lost some weight, and
What's the goal?
I probably want to be around 185, 190.
Okay.
I don't think. I think to go any lower than that for me right now, first of all, would be an insane amount of work, and secondly, would be really hard to maintain.
Got it.
Because I'm naturally heavier.
Got it.
I didn't go, even though I looked skinny. It's not like I went from like 170 to like 220.
Right.
I was still like 192.
Got it.
So it's not like
Yeah, you have bigger, stronger legs. So that's
Yeah,
that takes it.
it does.
I'm like 188 right now.
Yeah.
People don't think I'm that heavy, or maybe
Yeah.
people do, but
How tall are you?
right around 6, probably 5'11". You know what I mean?
It's like,
No one's 6 feet tall.
what's on your Tinder account? Six, yeah.
Maybe 6'1". No,
6'1".
but no 6. I'm not the interviewer here. What are your goals for pickleball? I think like obviously all the talent in the world. Like what are your end goals in the sport?
Dude, that's a good question. I don't think I have a clear answer to that, I
Yeah.
think most people, obviously you have the people like Federico, and you have people like maybe even Ben for a while, maybe still now, that they have one goal in mind and that's all they want to do. But for me, it's like I love pickleball and I love playing. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I want to be the best. I'm going to go train really
Right.
hard today. And then like 3 weeks later, I'm like, okay, maybe I want to spend more time with my family,
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, like I'm spending a lot of money on training, on like fitness and
Right.
stuff like that. And then sometimes I'm like, let me start a podcast.
Yeah, fair enough. So you have different interests.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think a lot of the times I do wake up and I'm like, okay, I want to be the best version of myself, but I don't know if that is the equivalent of like I want to be the number one player in the
For
world.
sure.
And I'm very competitive and I want to
Yeah.
win, and I do my fair share of training, trust me. But I'm not willing to give up like time with like my daughter.
For sure.
I mean,
sure.
to some extent, right?
Of
Like
course.
I'm not willing to just like not go home for like 3 weeks
Of course.
to like not see my daughter.
Yep.
Where some people do give up that kind of
Yep.
stuff. So I mean, to answer your question, like to me, it's okay not to be the best player in the world, but it's a good thing to want to be the best version of yourself, and that's what I try
100%.
to be. And so, yeah, sometimes it is being the best.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm okay being number 15. Some days I'm
Right.
like I want to be better.
Right.
Like it just really
It
depends,
depends. No, I mean I think it's interesting. Well, no, it's good to hear that, and obviously your life's changed a ton in the last 6 weeks. With a new baby girl, so it's totally understandable. But I think the evolution of pickleball. I think when I met you a couple years ago, when we were in Indian Wells with Matt Chow on a 16-person winner
Yeah.
take all, whatever that was,
Yeah.
and kind of to where it is now. I think the goals of people and how people train and how people operate are different. Even a Ben Johns back then, like, yes, it was his full-time gig, but it also seemed just like a hobby. No one knew
Yeah.
where it was going.
Yeah.
Tyson was just kind of one of the guys. Anna Lee, yes, was the best, but like it looked like she was just hanging out with her mom. Now it's people's job and they're taking it as their job. And you really see people coming up of like, all right, this is what I want to do for a living. But even the ones that are full-time, you can tell the difference between a Federico Staksrud and I don't even want to name names, but other players on tour that are saying they're full-time that clearly don't have that type of drive or discipline.
Yeah, and not all people do, right? And I think most importantly, it's being true to yourself.
For sure.
Like you have so many, in my opinion, and I don't know this for a fact because I'm not friends with them, but there's so many people in like the NBA world that are just like super happy and pumped to be part of an NBA team.
Yep.
And then they play, they do their job, and then whether win or lose, they're good. They're
Right,
happy. They
right.
go back to their families, or maybe
Yeah.
they go party, whatever they do, right? And so I think there's like this also unrealistic expectations because tennis and pickleball are similar. Now everyone's like, oh, like you should be like Nadal and like
For sure.
Djokovic. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna eat. I'm not gonna eat a little bit of chocolate in like 7
Right.
years until I win Wimbledon. Like
Right,
that's
right, right.
not that's not realistic. But I think same thing with like the paddle throwing,
Right.
right? Like there's so many. I haven't done it since Minnesota
Yeah,
last year, but there's so many people in tennis that do.
for sure.
But then there's like Federer. Even Federer wasn't perfect, but because of who he is, people forget that in '09 he threw a racket.
Right.
But
For sure.
then again, it's just unrealistic,
For sure.
right?
I mean, I think it all comes down to goals and what you want out of it. Not you, just the general you of the players out there. I mean, I think the what frustrates me sometimes though is that I think the egos of some of the players out there, or the expectations of some of the players, when potentially their work ethic and how they act and how they conduct themselves might not match up. Like we want to, as a tour, be treated as like this professional tour and have everything professionally done. Well, as a collective, then we all need to kind of toe the line and act that way in some capacity, which I think everyone is doing a way better job of.
Mm-hmm.
Like from broadcasting to volunteers, I think the last 2 years has like exploded and everyone's increased their level of professionalism.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get from there to the next level? And it's like it's going to be everyone taking their job a little bit more seriously, a couple more percent at a time as we continue moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that you're right, and the way that I view it is to some extent the PPA is an MLP, right? And all these tours, like they're startups.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like,
100%.
if that's a startup, and most of us are like the very first like employees of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right? At some point, we either step up or we're gonna get like fired,
Right.
Or like maybe not fired because we're pro athletes, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that at some point there are people going to be more qualified than us that are going to overtake our
For sure,
job,
for sure.
unless we're able to like step it up
Correct.
and be the better employee.
Yeah, no,
slash athlete.
it's natural selection. The best players and the best athletes and the people that are having the results are gonna be the ones that are getting these spots.
Yeah.
I think that's evident already. I mean, the level is getting higher and higher. I mean, it's cool going to, especially the last month and a half. I've been at way more of these events commentating. I think the level is like absurdly high.
Yeah.
Like I'm appreciative that I'm sitting in a booth sometimes as opposed to on court, because I just know how high the level is. And the tour in a fun way is more, it's like they're rock stars now a little bit, right? It's getting like, it's probably in some ways how back in the 80s tennis felt, as like these guys were kind of building the tour themselves into what it is today. Because I mean, even in Utah, like you have a couple thousand people watching on a stadium court or whatever it is.
Yeah.
In Dallas last year, and people were asking for autographs, and at night all the players are doing their things to get together, and it's a cool atmosphere that's being built on tour, and you see the camaraderie, you see the rivalries being built, the shit talking online, like that stuff is all beneficial to what we're trying to do, and having different personalities is great. We need more.
Yeah, dude, and it is great, and there's a lot of keyword warriors out there. We all get them. What are your thoughts? Like, what is the greatest like rivalry in pickleball for you right now? What's like the matchup? You're like, fuck, I really, really, really want to watch this. Because I have one in mind. I have a couple.
Interesting.
In mind. Like, what's entertaining?
Doubles or singles, or does it matter? Well, so first of all, I enjoy watching Jack Sock right now a lot in any match, because I think no matter who he's playing, there's a game within the game, right? I don't want to say gamesmanship, but he takes a lot of extra time, and there's the stare downs at the players and all, and like that plays a role in what happens the next point.
Yeah.
So that's like, as a commentator, that's fun. I mean, any match that Tyler Leung seems to be in, there seems to be some fire, which you gotta love. When you guys played it against Tyson and Jame, I mean, that was like, right? That was Tyson and Jame.
Tyson and Jame.
That was one of the more fun matches. I won't tell you who I'm rooting for, but the wrong team won that one. But no, like those types of matchups is like what I want to see. There's
Yeah.
like different styles on court and people going at it. I still love watching Matt Wright in any match he's involved in. Like
He's fun to watch.
he's so fun to watch.
That's
And
out.
like even like I've played against him a number of times, and even though he bothers me when I play, like I respect it. Like you know what you're getting. Afterwards, he couldn't be nicer, and he's never gonna cheat you. He's never gonna like pull anything. But it's like it's a direct competition. I want to beat your ass, but you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like I love watching him play. I love the style. But yes, go back to you. What is your favorite?
I mean, if Matt is playing Riley, that's always
Fair,
a good one,
yes.
right? I think if Colin Johns is playing Julian, that's a really
Yes,
good one
yes.
always. But I mean, outside of that, there's always like these little things between like pros, like the Tyler and the Tyson is hilarious to
Yes.
me. Because I don't hang out, but like I've played enough with Tyler
Right,
to know that like he does not give a fuck.
right,
Like he just does not care,
correct.
you know? So the fact that there's like such, and maybe there's not, but the way that it seems, like the
For
fact
sure.
there's such animosity, and that's
Well,
what it looks
I mean,
like.
there clearly is. They separated from an MLP team.
Yeah.
You know, that's not coincidence. I mean, that took the animosity to another level, in my opinion. If there was a question about it going into that type of draft or post draft, like it was answered,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, you can't get along enough to be on a MLP team that you were picked to play on. I mean, that's kind of insane.
Dude, you'd be a really good fit for like a coach.
I would. I thought I was gonna get a call from Miami PC, and they gave it to Johnny Pickleball
That's
instead, or
funny,
Johnny
dude.
Goldberg instead.
It makes sense. I mean, he's in Florida.
He is in Florida.
And the thing about Johnny, I mean, I played against him and stuff. I think he's funny. I think he's great. But he has a really good eye for players too.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Well,
Why not?
I mean, no. I love. We'll see how his team does. I mean, look, I love Roscoe. I don't know Eric Onsens. They did just have a difficult loss in Utah first round to Derek Shearer and his partner. I mean, if you're picking a MLP level team, men's double teams probably shouldn't lose to an undrafted guy in Derek Shearer who doesn't really practice that often, and his partner.
Dude, Derek's the man, though.
I think I think the world of Derek, and I actually think he has unbelievable hands.
Yeah, he does.
Like in terms of just talent, yes. If we put Derek Shearer on the Fed Stacks Root fitness plan, then we'd have a player.
That is true. We would have a great player. I think Derek is great. I for some reason every time I play him too much in tournaments.
Right.
Like I have him always like he'll win his first round every
Yeah.
single time, and then I'll have to play him. And I'm like, okay, a lot of the times we don't hit to Derek because he's actually good at what he's good at.
I 100% agree.
You know, it's like, okay, I'm just not gonna go there. Not that he would like. I don't feel like he would beat us if we
Right.
were going at him, but I do think it would be harder.
For sure.
You know, but I think he's a great player. But what are your thoughts on? Have you heard the latest email saying that they're gonna combine? So like you're gonna have your league, Premier and Challenger,
Okay.
and then the tournament thing that they do at the end of the year or mid-season. I don't know what it is. They're combining the bracket between all the teams. So the Challenger
Interesting.
teams will have to play the Premier teams at some point. So what are your thoughts on that?
I love that.
I do too.
I mean, to expand on that with, obviously more than 3 words, I think that's great. I don't know if that will give any upsets, at the moment. If you had it tomorrow, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But give it 3 months time, some of these challenger level guys and gals should be able to get a lot better, and you never know. I mean, a lot of challenger level players are now in Premier for a reason, because they got better. So I think that'd be great, and it's obviously gonna. I mean, all the pressure's on the Premier level team, so they're going to go into that freaking out. Obviously, a game to, is it 25 now? Did they change it, or is it still 21?
I'm pretty sure it's 25.
25. So, yeah, I mean, rally scoring to 25, anything can happen, really.
It is true. Here's so I heard some, because it happened today, so people are like talking and whatever, and I'm challenger, right? And I heard like mixed things, but like in my opinion, a lot of these players, right? Like, let's go back a little bit and let me explain what I'm trying to say. But let's say you're a certain player and then you spend all this money in 2023 to play pickleball.
Okay.
And then you got offered this contract, right? And
Right.
let's say you're supposed to make 100,000,
Okay.
and then that gets cut to like 50.
Okay.
Like 90% of the players that I'm aware of are complaining at the fact that they're not getting the 100.
Okay.
Where in reality, you should be thankful that that you're getting the 50, right? Like when
Right.
you're looking from from a job offer, for example, standpoint, right? You went
Right.
from 0 to 50. You didn't go from 100 to 50,
Right.
right? So I guess where I'm trying to go with this, even though I kind of lost the train of thought, is that in pickleball right now, in Challenger and Premier, when you think about the league last year,
Mm-hmm.
Premier players were playing for so much more money
Mm-hmm.
than the Challenger players,
Right.
right? Like, and they had these like end season tournament where
Yep.
like if you won, you got like 240,000 or something,
Correct.
and the Challenger ones played, but they didn't get anything near that.
Right.
So like a lot of these Challenger players are complaining that they have to play the Premier players, but when you view it as like, well, you never even had the chance to make that amount of money, so now it's like you're getting
Yeah,
paid
I
on
think-
top of making money.
I mean, I think it's a different or a difficult, probably thing to understand for the Challenger players or the people that got cut contracts. And I think it's a short-term problem, and I'll explain why. But yes, like the fact that a lot of people even have jobs and are getting paid, and sponsors are stepping up and paying good salary and all this stuff, like there should be a level of gratefulness, whatever,
Mhm.
gratitude from these players, because I don't know. Look, early 20s, these people out of college, this is a very new thing. So to be able to make a living. Look at Duke, for example, when I was an associate head coach, and this was just 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, my salary was $60,000 a year. I was working every single day, all year long, recruiting everything for $60,000.
Yeah.
And now pickleball started. Like, are these players and challengers producing $50,000 to $100,000 for the league?
No.
The answer is no. And look, anything that's being built, you're going to get overpaid a little bit. There was the tour wars. That's why people were getting overpaid. So I understand that part of it. But all right, they need to have some gratitude. But I understand both sides. Look, they were offered $100,000
Yeah.
or whatever it was, whatever their deal was, and then they got it cut in half. They should have had the realization that I'm getting overpaid in the first place. And no one really had that. Like the fact that there's some people, I don't even know. Some of the numbers that I've heard are just out of control.
They're
even
insane.
for the biggest names from tennis or whatever. Like once you play a couple events and people are used to you, I don't know if that value is there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not if it's not driving more eyeballs to the sport. There are
Right.
certain players that are driving a ton of eyeballs to the sport. And I think if to kind of close that off, if there was a player that was expecting to make a certain amount of money and changed their lifestyle day one because of it, and then now they're like, damn, I can't pay my bills because I've already I've spent that $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's on them. Like that's just
Yeah.
a very dumb decision then, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I agree. I guess the way that I see it, right? It's like even let's say you make 100,000 for
Mhm.
2023 and you're offered 300 because you never got that money. It's not real.
Correct.
So for you to be like, I should have made this money, or I should be making this money, when these other 140 players,
You're
like, right? When on the other hand, it's like you actually got an upgrade, probably.
Correct.
Right? Because if you got 300 and it's got 150, like you should be view it from like, I got a pay upgrade 100 to 150, not that you got downgraded from 3 to like 150.
And I think these players should look at it in the sense of like, your main point was challenger versus premier. Should they be playing each other? I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. If you're a
It is.
challenger player, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to lose that matchup, and you can go out and make yourself look great
And make more money.
and make more money
Yeah.
and be noticed and make a case for yourself that, yes, I'm the guy to watch or I'm the gal to watch. I think these players have to also realize like they're all very special and they're part of something that's being built, like we talked about. Like this is a startup.
Yeah.
And the fact that like people are, everyone, like if you're drafted and have a contract, like you're part of a pretty elite select group. Like there are people that are playing challenger tennis tours that are looking at someone in the challenger draft. They're like, wow, that's a cool thing. Like people look at pickleball players right now with envy,
Yeah,
and
100%.
um, you know, yourself included. I keep saying guys and gals in their early 20s. You're in your early 20s, getting a chance to play a professional sport, traveling around the country. Fans know who you are. You're signing autographs. You're getting to see the world and getting invited to cool houses and cool parties and cool things, and being exposed to the business world that I didn't get exposed to in my early 20s. I just took a check for a job as a coach or as a Babolat rep, and you guys, you're building a podcast. You're getting to know about contract negotiation with paddle companies and clothing companies, and there's a lot of tables that these players are at with big CEOs and big celebrities and big stars in your earliest 20s. That's invaluable. So if you can open your eyes and ears and just listen and take it all in, by the time you get to your 30s, I mean, you're set.
You're set.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And I think I mean, you hit the nail on the spot, but it's like there's so many layers to it, right?
Yeah.
And people just see it as in like money in, money out,
Right.
and that should be like the very last layer that you ever get to. But they forget about everything else that's actually happening.
For sure.
I mean, there's even, I mean, I'm such good friends with like James Blake, Golden Tate, and all this stuff. People that, I mean, I didn't play football, so I actually didn't know who Golden was.
Right.
But I grew up watching a lot of James Blake.
Of course.
Right? Like, and for me to be friends with him, have his phone number, call him, be like, hey, what kind of drills do you do when you were in, like, that's insane.
Insane.
For people that would be like, for most people, that's unachievable.
Correct.
And these are things and relationships that you get to build. I mean, and honestly, like somebody like James or Golden, they're such high like caliber quality
For
people
sure.
anyway.
Yep.
You should just be grateful for anything that's happening.
For sure. And just to piggyback on that, yes, the caliber of professional, both, as an athlete like they were, but now getting into business as they are, the Drew Breeses of the world that are involved and getting to learn from them, and you see how they act. Like you said, just to be around them, to consider them friends, to have their number and call on them for advice, that can impact your life in a way that, most people dream of.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes you want to wake up and be the best version of yourself every day, like you said, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Dude, 100%. How's that K-Swiss sponsorship going?
K-Swiss is great, dude. I love K-Swiss. I'm with them for 3.5 years. We're coming out with a lot of cool pickleball stuff coming up. I'm actually coming out with a Pickleball McNasty kind of logo and brand myself that I'm hoping to also collab with K-Swiss on, which will be great. But the shoes, the clothes, from lifestyle to pickleball. Obviously, they make tennis and padel as well, is awesome. But it was a cool story. So I knew Jackie, used to be Spitzer-Jarek, now Scarnici. I knew her brother from junior tennis and then college coaching. But I knew her as a A6 rep or whatever she was before that. But I played that pickleball slam, the first one, the amateur slam in South Florida with Roscoe. And I kind of got Roscoe as like a sleeper pick because he really hadn't played an event yet. So it was like a duper 10 max. So between both of us, we couldn't go above 10, and Roscoe didn't have a duper at the time.
So 5 duper, 6 duper.
Yeah. So like together, we were right around a 6. But we play. I mean, to be honest, those first couple matches that he played were like he played like a 4.0. Like some of the forehand dink misses, like he would tell you, like he was so nervous. But we had such
Still
a cool.
Happens.
Yeah. So don't say that. Come on now. Roscoe, you have a great forehand dink. No, but he does prefer that backhand side, I believe. But yeah, we had a really cool week. Ended up winning the 10,000, and getting to play Roddick and Agassi, and kind of being around the K-Swiss folks because they were the sponsor of that event.
Yeah.
And it just turned into a really cool relationship. So another example of like how 5 years ago I would have never expected to be on a court with Agassi and Roddick.
I know. It's
and have a chance to build a cool pickleball side of things with K-Swiss. So
it is crazy. James Blake connected me to Andy Roddick's like long-term strength and conditioning trainer in Austin.
Okay.
And I guess they were together for like 10 years when Roddick was on tour. And this guy had like 0 negative things to say about Andy.
Yeah.
Like 0, just like super hard worker, like funny, like, positive, like everything great about him. So seeing him do so well on tour and then like, training with his old trainer and then hearing those things, and I was obviously everyone's a huge fan of Andy
Right.
Roddick's serve, right?
Yep.
I don't know, it just made everything a lot better. And I don't know if he loves pickleball, but I've
Right.
seen him play. He's pretty fucking good too.
He's pretty good. I mean, he always says he doesn't love it, but he did that event with Amazon Pharmacy during South by Southwest in Austin.
Mhm.
He came, Ben Johns, Colin, myself, Andy, and the Amazon Pharmacy CEO. But he loves it, and he's gotten in shape. He's gotten in shape, to his credit, playing a lot more tennis. I think
Mhm.
eating right, all of that stuff. But dude, he's out there sweating. He does respect the sport.
Yeah.
He'll tell you, he doesn't, or he'll get in the Twitter feud with Alshon.
Christian Alshon,
But
Twitter King.
yeah, but no, I think Andy does love it. He does respect it. Does he think it's going to be a TV sport? I think that's his only concern. But him, Andre, all these guys, look, what's not to love about it? Like
Yeah.
if you're a competitor, you're going to get out there and want to beat the person across from you.
100%. And I mean, it could be pickleball. It could also be like, I mean, we play a lot of liar's dice. Dude.
Yeah.
We go crazy. Any Airbnb nights with like
Yeah.
Pablo, Dylan, myself, Iker, Craig Johnson, we just go like crazy. There's like 10 of us playing liar's dice, and we're like yelling at each other, like calling bullshit.
Exactly.
Dude, it goes nuts. If you're a competitor, you're gonna play pickleball
Exactly.
regardless.
I mean, if
right?
you're playing video games, there's going to be some smashed controllers by the end of the night.
Smash paddle.
Yep. Always. I haven't smashed a paddle in a long time.
It's been like over a year for me now, dude.
It's good.
Yeah, it is good.
It's good. Save some heads in the crowd.
As a as a commentator, is there anyone out there that you're like, I cannot wait for this guy to get on center court?
I mean, like I said, it's fun to watch Jack right now, just because there's a lot of style there. Is his game complete? No, I think he would be the first to tell you that.
It's getting there though. He's like thinking with two hands.
Yeah,
now.
no, the two-hander's getting a lot better. I think what makes him so good is the chaos, right? You're not sure what's going to happen, but then that also
Cobra.
right, the Cobra, but that also hurts him in some big moments, right?
Mhm.
What if he gets behind in a game, the third game or whatever it is, his to get back, it's so high risk, right? There's so much wrist involved, there's so much flicking, and it's like, and so much movement to take away space last minute.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes a high risk game. So if you're down 8-3 in game 3, it's tough to come back from that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have yet, it seems like, this just very methodical way of playing, and that could be also dependent on partners, a lot of different things. But yeah, I mean, sick talent, obviously.
Yeah.
Insane.
Well, him and Chick, like they have a very like chaotic drive and shake and bake, poach, go crazy like sort of game, which makes for like really good upsets at times.
Right.
But it could also mean like, okay, we're not playing great today.
I love to watch Jaume Martinez Vic
Mhm.
right now. I think that there's so much talent. I was watching, who's not, both guys aren't like the biggest personalities off the court, as we know, but awesome dudes and awesome play. I love watching JW and Dylan.
I do too, for different reasons. I'm such good friends with both of
Right.
them.
No,
There's hands down they're the best team in the world right now.
I don't disagree with you. Like I was watching them in Utah, and first of all, JW just does not let, and Dylan too, they don't let you know anything that's going on in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Miss, make, does not matter.
To be fair, I don't think they know either.
No, but there's no emotion, and I think that plays a huge role of like progressing and moving forward and not giving your opponents any type of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hit a winner on them or a great shot, they just turn around like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I was from the commentary booth, early in the Utah, because there was one close game, first, second round or whatever it was. And I'm like, I wish JW would pull the trigger on some more things. I think that's, the next evolution to his game. But then after watching them, I'm like, there's no real reason for him to try to speed up off the ground. Like he's leaning so far in when there's things that present themselves to attack out of the air, and then the hands from both of them are just disgusting.
Yeah.
Like disgusting.
Yeah. Well, the thing with them, right, is like they're really consistent and they're counterattackers.
Yes.
So that's just what you do. You just wait for your opportunity, and then your opportunity usually is getting the ball sped up at you, and then you put it away.
Correct.
It's kind of I mean, there's a lot of counterattackers in tennis,
Right.
too, right? It's
Right.
like, oh,
Yeah.
like I'm just
Counterpunch. Yeah.
gonna, rally until they go for something, and I just
Right.
like go for something
Right.
back, like,
Right.
and that's just style of play. And I personally really like it because I'm the complete opposite, right?
Right.
I'm like what feeds into somebody like J-Dub and Dylan.
Right.
Like my record against them, it must be like 0 to like 27. Even back in 2022 when I was playing them in every single APP final.
Right.
And at the time I thought like, oh, like I need a better partner, and I would have all these different partners.
Right.
And then like looking back at it like, a year ago in 2022, I was like, no, I was the fucking problem. I couldn't beat them.
So what does it take to beat that kind of stuff? First of all, I noticed too they're dinking so much middle.
Mm-hmm.
Their consistency, J Dub's drops are out of like I don't understand that his backhand slice drop. I don't know how someone makes that so consistently. Like on the forehand side, I get it.
Yeah.
The push, the
I'm
slice.
the same way. I'm the same way.
It's just so consistent. And then even as he's coming forward, sometimes that knife on the backhand side that resets perfectly. Like it's just wild. But both of them are just so way more physical. A lot of dinks middle. There's nowhere to really attack. So what is the best way to beat a team like that?
I don't think there's like a perfect. I mean, if anyone has it, it's Ben, right? Ben's one of the few people that can just go cross court with J-Dub and be better at it than J-Dub is. But the biggest thing with J-Dub and Dylan, in my opinion, like yes, they're very consistent. They think a lot of middle. They make most of the drops. But in my opinion, like when you watch them, it really comes down to hand battles.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, you watch Tardio and Andre, Tardio for the most part was the one eating up Ben in hands battles.
Right.
But then you put J-Dub in front of him, J-Dub's just like, no, fuck that. No,
Right.
okay, I'm here. And then like they just have like even balls that you're like, okay, this should be kind of a put away ish.
It's not.
Like he'll just like get it back, and it's like it's still really good.
Yeah.
I have this point against. I have it on my phone still that I would go slow motion on it against J-Dub and Dylan, and Dylan took a huge out of the air forehand speed up to my backhand. I was on the right side.
Yeah.
I destroyed it. J-Dub went from here to here, hit a ball to me. I destroyed another one.
Yeah.
It clipped the net, and he went from here to here and like put it away. And I'm like, dude, like that's not possible.
Right.
Like I'm not hitting it soft. And we're talking like kitchen to kitchen. So it really comes down to just hand battles, in my opinion. 'Cause
Right.
I think everyone's fairly consistent.
Right.
Everyone's making great shots, but they just like they lose so little hand battles.
So let me ask you this: who is the best doubles player in the world right now on the men's side? Just an individual player.
Individually speaking, Ben.
Right. It's
Yeah,
still
it's
it's still Ben, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As well. And now I think Colin is fantastic, obviously, as a guy, as a player, all the above. Now, I think they're going to continue to take some random losses here and there, even though they're still winning a ton of titles. I understand that. I think they're going to take losses here and there if Colin doesn't play a little bit more of an attacking style. At least that's from what I'm seeing. I think the game's changing where you can't just be a right side guy that is consistent. And that's enough because the paddles are getting so powerful. Speed, there's only so many balls that you're going to be able to reset every time.
Yeah.
Like you're going to need to take some chances and reach in and put a ball away and go for it.
Yeah.
What do you say to that? Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. My only concern to some extent for them specifically is that like we all know, and you can even hear with the YOLO paddles now, they're still playing with the old paddles, right? Like they're still very gritty, right? They have all the, but you can tell that they don't love the fast game pace, like the fast game stuff as much, right? Like they're always been known for like never missing, making every ball, hitting good quality shots, but not really speeding anything up too much. So I guess my concern for them would be like, can they both keep up with that same speed that these paddles and everything are bringing, right? I do agree, and I don't know why Colin doesn't, because he actually he has a really good forehand speed up. He just doesn't use it, right? It's similar to like Matt Wright, but Matt Wright just does it more often, way more often. I just don't know if we keep going in this direction with power,
Right.
I don't know if the hands will be there for the both of them as a team. Where with J-Dub and Dylan, it doesn't even matter because they don't have the best paddles in the market.
Right.
I'm not saying Yola is the best paddle,
Right.
but I don't think Selkirk or Franklin have the best paddles.
Those powerful paddles.
And they're winning.
I mean, I just think when you look at Ben and Colin as a team and compare it to Dasku and Tardio or J-Dub and Dylan, Dasku, Tardio, no matter where it goes on that court, there's a chance it's going to be attacked.
Yeah.
Right? Out of the air, off the bounce.
Yeah.
When you look at Ben and Colin at the moment, there's really only one guy that's attacking consistently. And I think that puts them at a disadvantage as the game keeps getting faster and faster because there's a spot on court where you know that it's only going to be a consistent shot coming back. Even a forehand reach in that should be attacked sometimes might just be a rollback cross court.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Colin, I think it was on air. I asked him on PBTV, I think at the Masters. I go, there's a lot of balls out of the air that I think you could attack. Why aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And he goes, well, yeah, they're like 50-50 shots, but if I want to get Ben in a position where he can really finish because it's more of like a 90-10 as opposed to me finishing at 50-50. Which I understand. Like you want to get the best possible shot, but what happens if that shot doesn't come and then now you're giving it on the opponent's paddle to speed it up first?
Yeah, I agree. I guess it would be interesting if we could read what's going on in his mind, right? Because I do agree there are shots there that are not 50-50.
Right.
Right? Like it might be 50-50 for him, but obviously with the way that my mind works and the qualities that I have on the court on the right side specifically with my forehand, because I'm more of a forehand gifted player. I'm like, those are balls that you could do something with.
Right.
But I wonder if he just doesn't feel that way.
Right.
Also, the only thing that I would disagree with there, with what I guess with what he's saying, is that if finishing the point, in my opinion, is hitting that last ball.
Right.
But when you speed it up, like, yeah, there's percentages, but you don't really know 100% what's going to happen.
For sure.
You know? So for Ben to have to speed every single ball up and to finish every single ball, like, yeah, he's been able to do it for so long, but this year, obviously, he's been tougher. Last year was not as tough as it's been this year, but it did because they had some losses.
Right.
I just don't know how realistic it is for Ben to set up and finish because I don't think Colin is setting up the perfect ball by hitting an insane roll or insane attack.
Right.
Because Ben is doing the setup with the attack and then the finish. So I guess I don't know if I fully agree with that, but that's
it's tough and the game's changing. I think obviously they're having so much success anyways, so it's tough to like totally go away from what is working 99% of the time. If you I had I'm not saying they're ever going to split because I doubt they will. Because we both agree Ben's the best player in the world individually. If you could pair him, not even who do you think's the best for him, but who's most interesting to you? I have someone I would love to see these two together, but I'll let you answer first. Like, who would you love seeing Ben play with if he wasn't playing with Colin?
Consistently?
Yeah.
I think Matt Wright.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see him with Matt Wright because even though Matt Wright's mobility and I guess
he's getting older.
Blocking skill and stuff like it's not as good. I think his hands are elite.
Yeah.
I think he does a great job on the right side. And he has probably the best forehand speed up from the right side anyways. And his third shot drop is unbelievably consistent and good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not talking about just like a scoop over like it's like a slice back and it's just like
yeah, it's got a lot on it.
Yeah. And that gets you to a point where he's making the third 9 out of 10 times at least.
Right.
And it's a really good third, so you get to the kitchen regardless. So now if nobody's really playing defense or popping it up, like now it just becomes a hands thing.
Right.
And Matt Wright has elite hands.
Yeah.
And I think he's able to get in a lot of opponents' heads where Ben doesn't need to.
Right.
But I think it might help the partnership if Matt was talking shit to somebody.
For sure.
I mean, now Ben has an extra edge.
it would keep Ben engaged constantly because Matt's not going anywhere.
Right.
You know, Matt's gonna Mine,
Who were you gonna say?
I just want to see. I don't know why. I just think that the fact that they're so similar is him and Stackstrud. Like I just think it would be. They're
No.
just so similar. They don't miss. They're so consistent. They can speed up on either way, either wing. Like especially with Fed's paddle, like the ball would just come off anything that's coming in there. I just think it
Yeah.
would be so fun.
Yeah, but I think you would see because Ben's not gonna play the left and Federico's not. I mean, sorry, the right.
Yeah, of course.
And Federico is not. He's not a top tier right sided player.
But you don't think he could learn that? Like give him four events?
It's possible, but I think it would fall into the category where I don't think Federico, I love you, bro. It's all love, but I don't think Federico's known for his unbelievable hands.
Right.
And on the right side, part of your job is being a piñata,
Right. Yeah.
right?
You're getting lit up.
Yeah. So that's what Matt Wright, that's what Colin does so. Sorry, not Colin. That's what Dylan does so well.
Maybe a Patrick Quinn. Great hands.
Yeah, Hayden has great hands. Pablo has great hands. I would like to see some of that too. Like, what about Ben and Augie?
Yeah.
A lefty that
Yeah.
a lefty that never misses and can bring some offense.
Right. Bring some heat.
Like that would be really interesting, right? But then you would wonder, if Augie would take too many of like Ben's balls in the middle, even though it's a different forehand. Because I do think Ben comes over a lot, and I don't agree. At least maybe because I can't do it as well. But I don't agree with like taking every single of my
Right.
partner's backhand. Like it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Like, yeah.
And what do you, I mean, I haven't seen Augie play enough yet. Is Augie's backhand on the outside, is it great? Can he speed up
he's
very
a
well?
two-hander.
So it's great.
I don't think he has like a full like one-hander like out of the air flick.
Right.
But I think if you're obviously I think he could learn it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it's somewhat similar to like Connor's Garnett backhand, even though Connor's is better. Like if you can speed up a ball from like below the net and flick it and hit a winner, off the bounds, like I mean, still a lot of offense
For sure.
And then anything forehand,
Especially with that, like with the lefty, the righty coming across the body, it's a pain in the ass.
it's insane. Like I just played with CJ Klinger, and he would dink to the person in front of him's backhand.
Yeah.
And then while they're dinking their backhand, he's like reaching in and trying to get that next ball right at them. So they have like no time to even get back.
I can't stand when there's a lefty in front of you and then that ball comes like across your body from a different.
Yeah.
Oh,
as you're like trying to get back.
It's awful.
It's so ridiculous.
It's brutal.
Dude, is there any part of you that's ever like, fuck, let me try pro pickleball again?
Yeah, of course. Every time I'm at an event commentating, I'm like, there's opening round matches where I'm like, I could get in there right now and be competitive, potentially win, all of that stuff. The elite level, I know how good everyone is and how much training is involved and how that's getting better every month.
Mm-hmm.
So it would need to take a complete commitment and more than I did when I was actually playing, because back a couple years ago, everyone was like part-time.
Yeah, I see you working out though.
I'm working out. I'm getting in better shape. I am trying to get down in weight, just more for myself. I haven't had a drink in over 3 weeks. Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, I haven't had a drink in 3 weeks and working out, getting my protein in. I do want to get in better shape. Whether like you said, is it for pickleball or is it just for like my life? More for my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hate going to the events sometimes and only commentating because I do want to get out there and play. So we'll see. Maybe in 25 I'll give it another shot.
You and Matt Chow.
Exactly. Yeah. But we'll both bring the spandex back.
Dude, fuck it. I have it's kind of hard to like question this question, but what are your thoughts on the MLP side, right? So when I watch the draft, I think there's like, 15 players or whatever, just to throw a number out there, that could be, and this is maybe just preference, but that could be premier or challenger, like on the men's side. Right? Like you could kind of like swap certain players, and I don't think it would really make a difference.
Right.
So I'm not going to try to put you in the spot and be like, who do you think? But that said, do you believe that if there were more premier teams, that it would make more sense as like players go, or do you think 12-12 or 12-10 is like a good
Yeah, I don't know if I have a real answer or opinion. 12-12 is kind of how it goes, and because there's so much depth, especially on the guy side,
yeah.
the women's side it's more clear cut who should be where. I think there is a talent drop off after you get to a certain level. The men's it's like so deep there, and I feel like I don't want to I don't want to say the guys are putting in more work, but it seems that it's just the level difference and the margin between your guy who's 40 versus your guys who's 20 is just pretty small.
Yeah.
Like, and it seems to be shrinking by the day because these guys are really hungry to get better.
Yeah.
So certain players are going to get a benefit because of a relationship or a veteran status, playing longer on tour, whatever it may be. But that's just, it's growing pains of the league.
It is. And I get what you're saying. I guess the way that I'm trying to like view it is, would you say that there are challenger players that are premier but that they're not? Or do you
Yeah, I mean,
think
who
it's
was
like
who was on the cusp? There was like one or two guys that I thought were interesting.
on the cusp of premier?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would put myself there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I would do Rafa,
Okay.
Jaume,
Yeah. Well.
Travis.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't think I don't know exactly all the
Yeah.
players
Yeah.
that
That's
are
right.
there,
That's
but
right. That's right. I mean, if you're looking at recent results, it's you'd be hard pressed to not put Jaume in premier
Jaume should
for sure,
yeah.
right? I mean, singles, doubles, mixed. He's kind of the last 2 months. I mean, the resume is there, 100%. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to play out. I know Travis shared something on Instagram the other day about his premier status and the fact that his plus minus differential was like third or fourth out of all the guys in premier last event.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, it's growing pains. I think just like anything, if you're a guy right now, because there's so much depth, you're going to have to separate yourself so clearly that it's just not even a question, right?
Yeah.
If it's a question, then, as hard as it is to say, it's like you have to look in your mirror and it's like, all right, did I really separate myself then enough to not make it a question? If the answer is no, then all right, back to the drawing board and look, it's going to be redrafted again or have a chance to move up or whatever it may be. Again, the level is going to be high, both challenger and premier. You're going to have your chance to play the premier teams and just kick people's ass.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Well, I just want to thank the MK Lab for having us. I want to thank my sponsors, as we all know. And I'm just opening up the pod to whatever you want to talk about, any statements, any questions, whatever you want,
How
bro.
long have we done it? How long have we been on? Oh, wow.
An hour.
Shit, I talk a lot.
Goes by fast.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't know. I mean, I think people have talked about the paddles till they're blue in the face. Obviously, I think they're getting too hot.
Do you think paddle should be like straight spin, no power? I think it'd be so fun.
I mean, it would be. I think the Selkirk Power Air should be like the limit
For power?
Yeah.
And what should be the limit for spin, do you think? Like a Pro XR?
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Interesting.
That's fair.
But every paddle should be the same. But they're not.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, the fact that from what I'm hearing, and a lot of stuff I hear is offhand, and I don't know what's true or not. But people tell, oh, this guy's putting in 10 paddles for testing, and only 2 are getting by, and every player with that company has to do that. I mean, if that's the case, that's insane.
Yeah, I have a story that I'll share. I'm not gonna say who, but I was told, or I was there, but basically this person tested, I think 12 paddles.
Okay.
And they all failed. So then somebody was like, "Hey, I need to go to the hotel and get more paddles. I need to be here. So
Right.
can you just give me the car keys to your car, and can I go get them?"
Right.
And we were like, because we're like a group, and like, yeah, of course, go get them, no problem. And apparently they grabbed like another 6 or 8, and then like 2 of them passed.
Oh God.
Yeah, like that's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's great, and it's unsustainable. I mean, if you're a paddle manufacturer, how are you gonna go by with sending 20 paddles to an individual player and only 1 or 2 are passing? I mean, it's
per
insane.
day. But
Do you have to get them recertified every day?
every day
Insane.
for events. But then my question, but then like it opens up like, like a little bulb in my brain because I'm like, okay, what if they're like all of them fail, but this guy needs to play pickleball, so here you go.
Of course.
It's possible.
Of course it's
I'm not saying that's what's
Of
happening.
course it's I mean, look, the pickleball's in a weird position because there's no real governing body, and the most popular pro segment is its own tour, right? In the PPA. And PPA is doing an unbelievable job growing the sport. I mean, from where it was in 2020 till now, you can't say enough about the organization, right?
I will say though they don't get enough credit.
Not at all. I mean, it's look, they weren't an events company or a pro league before, right? Connor Pardo and Ogden and the whole Bryce, everybody. Like, this is a startup for them, and the fact that it's grown so much and has the popularity it has it's insane. It's like it's lightning in a bottle. It's once in a lifetime stuff.
Yeah.
But USAPA was the organization that was supposed to put limits on things. PPA obviously has their own testing, and it's going to be, what do the fans like to see? Do we like the power? What are the players' opinions? I mean, opinions like guys like Ben Johns. What does everybody else say? I mean, a lot of people are liking the new power. Obviously, they're having better results, but especially on the women's side, I think they love having that new power. They can go in mixed doubles head to head against against anybody and still win.
Yeah, but that's an issue, right? Because it wouldn't be the same if we all had a similar paddle.
I agree.
It's like, okay, like, and this is where it gets like out of hand because I always like I have a tennis background, but
Right.
I wasn't as good as a lot of you guys, but I'm still decent, like
Yeah, of
a
course.
good junior. And there's girls that are 120 pounds lighter than, and I'll never get tired of saying this, but there's girls that are 120 pounds lighter than me
Right.
that probably weren't even as good as
Right.
tennis, and they're hitting it twice as hard as I am.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, I played with someone yesterday who had one of the new Yola paddles. It's kind of the first. I haven't played that many people with the new Yola paddles, to be honest, in practice or anything. And some of the balls, I'm ahead in the point, ripping like a roll win or whatever. And the fact, like, they're not even in position to really get back in the point, but just like a stab, and the ball
it just
is
hits
like
you.
on you,
Yeah.
and they're back in the point, or it's a reset. Like, and it's like that's not the way the game was intended to play.
Yeah.
And it actually isn't rewarding skill,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, what we talked about, the old Dura balls, like why. I remember Dura versus Franklin, that whole thing, and why I told people that the pros like Dura is because the variability with the different size holes, the bounce is going to be different. So if your variable is constant with your technique, it's going to reward the higher level technique, right?
That's coaching you,
right. That's constant,
yeah.
right? So I want to be a part of a sport that's going to reward the highest level of technique and preparation and footwork and being in the right place and all of that stuff. And if you can just get bailed out because your paddle's better than mine, I would like that to end.
Yeah, can you imagine you just like go running, but like your shoes make you like 0.5 faster than somebody
Right.
else? So you're like, oh yeah, I'm just running faster than this guy.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
Like Usain Bolt would like losing to me because I have jets in my shoes wouldn't be
Yeah.
fun.
That's literally all it is. Fuck, bro. Well, thank you so much for
course.
coming, bro. That was awesome.
Thanks for having
Super
me.
happy to have you, and thank you for making the drive. But
I
yeah,
appreciate
you want
it,
to
man.
say anything about your sponsors? And all
No,
this
I
stuff?
mean, look, I have a lot of good sponsors. We talked about a bunch of them. Crush Yard was the venue partner that I'm with that we're building a bunch of venues, and Dow and Scarp and those guys are involved as well. So I'm pumped about that. K-Swiss, my paddle brand, Aliyat and Sweet Spot. But no, man, I'm just pumped. I'm glad that, your personal life is going great. New
Thanks,
baby. Glad that you're playing good pickleball. And yeah, we haven't really had like a cool conversation sit down like this. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Yep.